Welcome to Thriver TV, the place to break free from narcissistic abuse with quantum tools and understandings. Sensitive people like you and I are magnets to narcissists, or at least I used to be. And today's Thriver TV episode is all about how, as a highly sensitive person, you can protect yourself from narcissists for good, forever, and never again have them suck your energy dry or tear you down. In fact, I'm confident that if you apply what I'm going to show you in this video, you will discover, even as a highly sensitive person, just how powerful you are and how powerless a narcissist really is. Okay, so now before I go any further into this information to empower you today, please make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and leave a like if you enjoyed this video. All right, so let's start by first understanding how our high levels of sensitivity have made us susceptible to narcissists. Because I want to talk about feeling others' energy intensely. Narcissists emit stacks of weird energy. They feel unstable and ready to spin out on a dime. And that's if we've been around them long enough to start experiencing their mask cracking and their true narcissistic personality bursting through. If we've just met a narcissist, they still feel intense. They use a lot of focus and psychic energy to ensnare, manipulate, and deceive people, as do all people acting out a role rather than simply being themselves. I want you to think about this. People who are comfortable to be themselves are authentic. They're easy and peaceful to be around. There isn't the funky energy about them as there is with narcissists. Our susceptibility to this as highly sensitive people is we feel funky energy drastically. And if we're intensely tuned into other people's energy, trying to gauge them in order to work out what to say or do, we lose touch with ourselves. So let me give you an example. This is a real life example in the NARP community. Joanne was a narcissist giving her partner Rob a hard time. Nothing he did was good enough. The moment Rob walked in the door after work, he felt Joanne's black mood and immediately started thinking, do the bins need taking out? Should I offer her a foot rub and cook her dinner? His mind was frantically searching. What have I missed? What is she going to complain about now? Of course, with Rob as a highly sensitive soul, the more he felt Joanne's funky energy and tried to fix it for her so that he could feel at peace, the more he was in wrong town, losing more parts of himself, namely his voice, rights and life, whilst she was abusing him mercilessly and sucking his energy dry. Here's another example of a highly sensitive soul called Marcy meeting the narcissist Greg for the first time on a date. Marcy found Greg to be charming, intelligent and confident, and even though his questions felt probing and a little uncomfortable, she felt flattered that he was attracted to her. After their date ended, he asked her to go home with him. She felt his energy intensely, as if he expected this from her and he was going to be offended if she didn't agree to follow him to his house. Marcy remembered the dating and safety advice from one of her best friends regarding not having sex with any man you don't know and don't do it before getting a commitment from him. Yet, against her better judgment, Marcy capitulated because she didn't want to risk his funky energy escalating. So this is the thing, when we're not as yet whole adults in our inner being, tuning into and aligning with our own values and truth, regardless of what other people are or aren't doing or will or won't do, then we're always going to be catering to other people's version of life, even if warped and abusive for us. And this is what handing our power away really means. And it's such a common thing that highly sensitive souls do. Hence why they're a perfect match and fodder for narcissists. I want to have a look at this, giving up the notion of keeping the peace. As a highly sensitive soul, I want to challenge your comfort zone of trying to keep the peace. I understand this desire. You don't want to rock the boat and experience people's nasty and unpredictable behaviour. You just want peace and harmony, which not surprisingly was very unlikely to be the environment that you grew up in. And I'd love you to understand, just as I had to firmly face and realise, this comfort zone of trying to keep the peace is far from comfortable. Us handing over our energy, kindness, service, money, resources, sexuality and souls in an attempt to keep peace with narcissists doesn't work. Rather, it's like bleeding out in water with a shark circling in on you. Enough is never enough for a narcissist. When you hand over more pieces of yourself to try to keep them happy, calm, or stop abusing you, it escalates their demands for more. Give an inch, they take a mile. Give a mile, they take a continent. There is no deal to be made, loyalty to gain, reciprocity realised, or compassion earned. There is only the evidence to the narcissist that you're dropping your boundaries and exposing more bounty for them to pillage from you. According to the narcissist, a no-self who refuses to take any personal responsibility, everything that feels like suffering to them is your fault, and it's your duty to tend to it, fix it, or pay for it. The regular rules of humanity don't apply with narcissists at all, nor does the notion people will treat us as we treat them. To try to get a narcissist to recognise kindness, fairness and love is not the sole lesson we're undergoing as a result of being caught up with a narcissist. Rather, it is this: to have true soul peace without the stress and trauma of other people's energy affecting you, you must identify and align with your own truths, values, and live them authentically, regardless of what other people are or aren't doing. How else are we ever going to feel safe and whole in our own bodies instead of trying to tune into other people, catering to them fruitlessly in wrong town whilst they are abusing us? We can't. Let's have a look at becoming ourselves. Earlier in this video, I said that narcissist energy feels funky to highly sensitive people because they're putting on an act. They're not being themselves. This is where, as I always do, I want us to get really real with ourselves and take our power back inside us so that we can change and heal the only person who we have the power to, ourselves. So let's do this. Let's get really honest. These following questions are so important. Why are we telling people what they want to hear instead of living in our own truth and healthy values? Why are we dancing around someone's wounds and subjugating ourselves in the process? Why don't we let go and risk losing that abusive person and life we have with them and know and live out the truth that we deserve better? The simple generic answer to these questions is because we have wounds in our genetic, past life and childhood history that are preventing us fully being in our own self-generative power, able to be a source of love, approval, survival and security to ourselves, regardless of what other people are or aren't doing. Rob was doing all these things in his relationship because as a child, he was punished if he disagreed with his narcissistic mother's demands. He learnt at an early age that to minimise the abuse, catering to her was necessary. Marcy was doing all of these things with repeat narcissists because as a child, if she didn't go along with whatever her father believed and wanted, he ignored her. She learnt from an early age that her needs were completely irrelevant and attention from him only came from serving his. Personally, I handed my power away because of the terror of abandonment if I didn't. Also, I believed that unless I proved my worth, I would never be loved. I was totally hooked on trying to convince narcissists, despite their allegations, condemnations, and abuse of me, that I was worth loving. And until I healed these inner parts of myself, I couldn't stop dancing with toxic and abusive people. So I'd love you now to reflect. And this is going to be powerfully healing for you. So I'd like you to stop this video and ask your inner being these questions. Why am I telling people what they want to hear instead of living in my own truth and healthy values? Why am I dancing around someone's wounds and subjugating myself to in this process? Why don't I let go and risk losing that abusive person and life I had with them and know and live out the truth that I deserve better? So now I'd like you to stop the video, not before you heard about those questions again. And I'd love you to stop the video and share, because this is going to help you and others so much. We're all in this together. Share what comes up for you in the comments below. Okay, that's going to be great for all of us to do that. All right. It's familiar to us to be hooked into people trying to get love, approval, security, and survival from them. People who are self-absorbed in their own wounds and not available to grant this. It's familiar for us to feel obligation or guilt and want to fix and rescue others who are not taking responsibility for themselves and who are being abusive towards us. As children, we may have used all sorts of strategies to try to figure out what would make our caretakers less anxious and angry so that they could be whole, to try to make us feel whole. If we did this, we became sensitive souls, people who felt other people's energy intensely. And you may have thought this is because you're an empath and a kind, giving person. It's very likely. But really, where this came from is your necessity as a child to read other people's funky energy to try to remain safe and alive, as well as trying to be loved based on how well you appeased this person's wishes whilst forfeiting your own. As children, we were powerless. There was no way to have our own values, opinions, wishes, and dreams, and maybe even basic human rights fulfilled. But now, dear Thriver, there is a way to do this, and I really want to explain. Let's look at aligning with self. This Thriver mantra is our focus today. Okay, I want you to repeat this after me. I relinquish reading your energy and appeasing you to feel safe and loved. Today, I take my power back by feeling into me and healing what I need to start generating my own truth. You can kick, scream, shout, guilt and blame me. Yet I no longer listen to you. No longer am I obligated to you. And you have no obligation to me. Your happiness is your own job, just as mine is my own. Today, I stop dancing to and feeding your wounds. Instead, I turn inwards to heal my own. To know my values and truth and live aligned to them, no matter what. And detach and let go of who and what no longer is. I take back my soul to generate my life with the people and resources who match my values, truth, heart, and future. I release you back to your truth and free myself and claim my own. And so it is. And you may want to go to the blog transcript and read this to yourself a few times and really feel the truth of this in your body, which always lets you know if something is right and true. Your body knows you're in soul truth after saying this mantra, even though you may feel some pain and doubt with it, some resistance, which is your opposing inner programs that you need to heal to live the truth of this mantra. So let's have a look at what this truth looks like in real time. Rob, after doing the inner healing work with NARP to release and reprogram his traumas from his abusive narcissistic mother, left Joanne, stood up to her legally, went no contact, and he's now in a new relationship with a woman he adores who treats him with care, love, and respect. Marcy with NARP healed that part of her which had been without love and attention from her father. And when she became whole on the inside, she went on dates with men, honouring herself by saying no to their requests for sex. In fact, as soon as it steered that way, she easily deleted these men's profiles and had no further contact. Suitors who were respectful and wanted to take their time to get to know her started entering her experience because they were the only ones she would participate with now. After getting to know Mark for 3 months and establishing that he was a great guy with lovely values and compatibilities, she entered a committed, exclusive, intimate relationship with him. 18 months later, her and Mark were deeply in love, married, and started a family, a desire that Marcy in her late 30s had never been able to fulfill until now. The moral to these stories is there is real inner work involved. The finding and healing of our blocks and subconscious beliefs holding us in the pattern of handing our power away to narcissistic people. When you do this inner work, I promise you that calmly and powerfully you will stand up and have non-negotiable boundaries. You will stop trying to fix and get the narcissist to change and feeding the monster who has been stripping your bones bare. And you will have no fear of what the narcissist can or will do to you anymore. There will be no more trying to negate, make deals, or play it safe. Rather, you will just honour and respect your rights and truth, delivering whatever is factually and unemotionally necessary to do this. When you do this and you're willing to lose this person and abuse in your life, the narcissist crumbles and leaves your experience. Your graduation has been achieved and the soul contract with this person is ended. It's delivered what it needed to do, which is handing you back to being yourself and being free to start generating your true self and true life, which was the only way to live that was ever going to truly gratify you, as well as allow you to be in service to life and others in healthy and real ways. I am so passionate about people understanding more about the essential inner transformational work and trying it for themselves so that they understand why it's so vital and how it works. So if you've had enough of feeling other people's funky energy as well as unsure of yourself and unsafe, I'd love you to join me to start unraveling and healing from this by signing up to my 16-day free course. And you can do so by clicking the link at the top right of this video. And if you like this video, please click the like button. And if you want to see more of my videos, you can subscribe so you'll be notified as soon as each new one is released. Also, I'd love you to share this video with other highly sensitive souls so that they too can heal their energy gaps where they've been handing power over to abusive people. And as always, I'd love to answer your questions and comments below. So until the next one, keep smiling, keep healing, and keep thriving, because there is nothing else to do. Lots of love. Bye-bye.